The incredible, lyrical, and original. You could kill a bull if you want to take a pull. What's going on, guys? What's going on? LeonardoDaVinci back once again with another episode 4 now, I think, of Perusing the News. It's Sombra, the captain of the cruise. We're getting some comments, and I promise I'll get to them. It's just that I've been doing a lot, you know, in addition to work, and I have like editing that I have to do and then shooting. It's a lot of stuff. So let's get right into it. We're not gonna waste any more time. Like, comment, subscribe, and let's get right into it. We got an article here. I found some silly stuff for you guys. Maybe you guys are gonna laugh today. Let's check out what I got. This article says it's written by Merrill Davids Landau. In Landau, I'm thinking of Spandau Ballet. Anyway, the title of the article is "When More Isn't Better." If the ultimate point of tests, screenings, and prescriptions is to treat what ails us, why do we get so many that don't do such a thing? I'm sure just by hearing that title right there, we already have an opinion, a couple of them, right, that we could talk about. But we have to analyze and we have to debate things the correct way. We're gonna hear what they gotta say, and then we're gonna have an opinion. Let's just read the first part of this thing. She says, whether you're seeing a doctor for a routine physical or because some part of you has started to ache, you know, due to aging, or maybe for young males, which is happening very, very prevalently amongst males that are in their 30s, which is very interesting. Why is it that they're having things that are starting to ache in their 30s? It's not possible. We have an idea, followers of the channel, as to why this is the case, but you know, we're not gonna judge. We're gonna talk about it afterwards. You often leave the visit with a prescription for a test or a treatment, and while sometimes these make all the difference, experts say that too much often such recommendations do not actually help people's health and have unnecessary cost in terms of time, money, and peace of mind. Some may even cause harm. In fact, hundreds of billions of US healthcare dollars are wasted every year on what experts call low-value care, according to the Lown Institute, a nonpartisan think tank. This term describes any test, drug, or procedure that hasn't been shown in quality research to improve health now or to set people up for a better future. So we already have an idea. A lot of people have health insurance, and to do checkups, obviously, there's no co-payment, which is something, at least here in the US, you don't have to pay anything for a checkup. So what these doctors do, these essentially businessmen, crooked businessmen and women, they will do a checkup to someone. Someone describes, you know, in the pre-checkup application, oh, you know, I have a little ache in my elbow, or I got lower back pain, or you know, I have itchy eyes. And then they give them a swathe, the doctors, to the patient of possible cures or medicines that will sort of alleviate the symptoms for a little bit, not actually hitting the root of the problem. My obviously answer to this is these guys just want money. That's it. They just want to get paid. By giving them medicines that alleviate the symptoms temporarily, inevitably these guys are going to come back, right? And get hooked onto these medicines, get hooked onto these services that are being provided by these so-called experts. They went to school, they got a PhD, they went to two extra years of school or something like that to get their PhDs to become doctors, to swindle the public, to swindle individuals that are trusting their intelligence on permanently alleviating their problems. For young men, we know that about 90 to 95% of your physical, mental issues can be solved through the practice of semen retention. You go on semen retention, you stay sexually continent, you maintain the correct way. You're not looking at women, you're not looking at, you're not peeking at things on social media, any naked pictures, you're not edging, any of that silly stuff. You will be in optimal health, trust me. And you wouldn't need a lot of the things that the doctors prescribe to you. I'm not gonna lie, I've been to the doctors very recently because I was sick. I caught the flu. It was my second bout with the flu, so I went to the doctors just to figure out if there's something wrong with me. Is there some sort of lasting condition that I have? And I kid you not, they not only diagnosed me with having like the flu, and apparently there was something going around in New York. I forget what it was. They gave me like 5 I'm not kidding. They gave me painkillers, they gave me antibiotics, they gave me a nasal spray, they gave me a prescription to a cough syrup, and they gave me something else, I forget. 5 things to try to alleviate this issue. I kid you not. Instead of just saying, hey, Sombra, maybe you should consider having some tea with ginger and lemon and honey. Drink that twice or 3 times a day, and then you'll rid yourself of the issue. No, they're just interested in making money off the uninitiated. Again, this is another episode of people that are intelligent, right, and are using their intelligence in nefarious ways to manipulate the uninitiated. Let's see what else they say. So what's the danger of simply going ahead with all recommended courses of action? Low value does not mean low risk. For example, one study compared people given an EKG before cataract surgery, something many doctors routinely do before every surgery, even when it doesn't yield valuable information. That's nuts, because I didn't even tell you guys, for all the tests that these guys conduct on you, an MRI, I'm guessing an EKG, these are processes, these are services that the doctors are providing, some of these services of which are not included in the insurance packages that a lot of people have. So they're essentially making their money that way, stealing money. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I have a lot of the time, these doctors know that these guys don't need it. They use all these long terms. The patient is confused, and then they believe, you know what, they've given in. Maybe I do need this EKG. Maybe I do need this MRI because I have a sprained ankle, right? It's like, no, you don't. We have to do our research. We have to do our due diligence. Of course, there's a lot of various web sources out there, WebMD. The moment you type in something onto Google, I got a slight pain in my lower back. Boom, you type it in on Google, WebMD results will come back and say, oh, you probably have an early set of sclerosis, right? So you have to do your research. It's hard to trust these experts, right? These experts that went to school for extra years to get their PhDs so they could tell us information that would be good for optimal biological health. It's hard to not trust these guys because at the back of their minds, they are trying to swindle us or manipulate us to accept their prescriptions and services that our insurances don't cover so they can make extra money. It's very, very hard to not do this, but you have to start being skeptical about the so-called experts of the world. It's the same guys that tell men that masturbating is healthy, when we all know, any man that's experienced with semen retention to some degree understands that it's completely horrible for your health. We know this, we understand this. Don't know why we're not taking this in. When you go to the gym, when you are physical, when you are doing a lot of exercise, it is inevitable for a lot of illnesses and a lot of conditions, malicious conditions that usually befall the sedentary body to not befall the body because you are active. Let's go to the next article. This one, I have another one that's very, very interesting, right? I sort of connect with this as well, because I study this person a little, just a tad bit. We have another article written from the Smithsonian, right? It's from the Smithsonian Institute. Hello, sir. Hey, man, what do you want? What do you want? Can I have, I came all the way from England. I have a little layover in the US of A, and I would like a little martini garnished with a little Smithsonian. That's all right. Oh, yeah. What the hell are you talking about, man? I can't hear you over this loud Ice Spice music that we're playing. Ice Spice? No. Smithsonian is not a spice, sir. It's a garnish. You should know what it is. You know what I mean? You Americans always butcher everything. This article is from the Smithsonian Institute by a Barracuda. Sarah writes about Leonardo da Vinci. Her thing is, the title of the article is, a new Leonardo da Vinci biopic is coming to the big screen. The film will be an adaptation of Walter Isaacson's biography of the Renaissance painter, scientist, and inventor. So if you guys don't know who this powerful, self-taught paragon of a man was, I'll explain it to you. Leonardo da Vinci was around, I think, the 15th, 16th century or something, Italy, and he was a lifelong celibate. He's responsible for the Last Supper. He's responsible for the Mona Lisa. He's responsible for doing experiments on bodies to ascertain the flow and the flow of certain fluids of the body and how certain organs worked. He also has a treatise, I don't know how you say that word correctly, a treatise, on the constitution of semen. He also invented a lot of things. He also had a lot of ideas. Namely, you could find these things in the Leonardo da Vinci notebooks, where he talks about the molecular breakdown of the elements that govern this world: earth, wind, air, and heat or fire. He also talks a little bit about ether, but I haven't read that far in the notebooks because at the time, it was very, very difficult for my very, very unsemen retention full brain to comprehend. This guy was so powerful. Let's see what this article has to say about his upcoming movie. Leonardo da Vinci is getting Hollywood treatment. The Italian Renaissance artist who lived during the late 15th and 16th centuries, Sombro is right, will be the subject of a forthcoming biopic from Universal Pictures. The studio recently confirmed that Andrew Hay, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, best known for All of Us Strangers, will direct the production, as Variety Tatiana Siegel reports. The film will be based on Walter Isaacson's 2017 biography of Leonardo, a sprawling tome based on largely on the polymath's notebooks, which is what I described a little bit, you know, in regards to his explanation of the elements that govern this world. And of course, there was a lot of things. I think the article, not the article, but the chapter I remember the most was how he broke down water, and he talked about how water, when it's stagnant, becomes foul naturally, and water's natural direction based on the scientific and physical laws of the world is only to descend. Water is meant to descend. It's very, very interesting stuff, but of course I need to read it again because I'm a little more powerful, a little bit more intelligent now, so I'll be able to understand it. Let's read this other paragraph. It remains unclear whether it will touch on just one aspect of the artist's life or the whole thing, writes Art News' Alex Greenberger. Isaacson's book, which is more than 600 pages long, traces the full arc of Leonardo's career, including his making of the Mona Lisa and his scientific experiments. This is interesting stuff because I have the same sort of thoughts. I don't think Hollywood is going to broadcast, in a very, very positive way, mind you, that Leonardo da Vinci was a lifelong celibate and how that celibacy potentially led to the grand success of a lot of his works and his ability to not have formal art training, yet create the Mona Lisa, the Last Supper, Salvator de Mundi, which is another painting that I think went on auction in Sotheby's. Took the record for an art auction in Sotheby's years ago, but that happened to be a fake. But that's another story. They're not going to talk about that Hollywood. They're going to talk about, of course, and highlight more of his eccentric nature. They're going to talk about how eccentric and how possibly slightly erratic he was. I honestly think that they should talk more about semen retention, at least his practice of celibacy, and how that led to his works. But this is Hollywood we're talking about. They profit off of men that are less apt, that are less strong, and less expressive of their masculinity. He reminds me, Leonardo da Vinci, of like Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin, old statesman, partly responsible for the writing of the Declaration of Independence, and also did a lot of experiments on electricity channeling and experiments on cadavers, dead bodies. We know all that stuff about Benjamin Franklin and whatnot, and he sort of reminds me of him, Leonardo da Vinci. So let's read a little bit more. Soon after Isaacson's biography debuted, Paramount bought the rights to the book and even started working with actor Leonardo DiCaprio to turn it into a film. The complete irony of using this little girl chaser, Leonardo DiCaprio, in order to describe the wonderful, very powerful and successful life of Leonardo da Vinci. This guy, Leonardo DiCaprio, if you guys don't know, this guy's a very, very successful Hollywood actor. Finally won an Oscar with the Revenant film a couple of years ago due to the creative and very, very powerful works of Alejandro G. Iñárritu, which was responsible for Birdman and the Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance. Both films were very good, The Revenant and that aforementioned Birdman film. So Leonardo DiCaprio, this guy, he's incredibly successful. He has like that look, you know, the summit of the beauty standards of the West. And this guy only chases young girls. He has all this power and he only chases women that are completely malleable and completely influenceable. Like, how is it? If you are, my opinion, if you're even not going to be on semen retention, and if you're going to be successful, right, and you're going to be broadcasted on in the public, right, don't be seen chasing after young girls. See, the guy's like in his 30s or something, or in his early 40s, going after like 18-year-olds. It's nuts. Like, what are you doing? The irony of utilizing Leonardo DiCaprio in this is it's silly. It's crazy. However, that project never came to fruition. Thank goodness. The Universal bought the rights last year. The company then selected Oscar-winning screenwriter Christopher Hampton to write the screenplay. This film will be Universal's second big screen adaptation of an Isaacson's book, in 2015, they released Steve Jobs, another very powerful paragon responsible for Apple's success right now. He was also a celibate for sake of his work. He refused to sleep with his wife because he wanted to conserve his sexual energy in order to bring mass information and great technology to the public. Said by Steve Jobs himself. Very, very interesting stuff. So, like I said, I don't think that the film is going to touch up on his celibacy, Leonardo da Vinci's celibacy, and how that led to a lot of his, all of his successful works, and his insatiable curiosity about things in the world, and the compulsive need that was built by Semen Retention to do experimentations on what he observed in his day-to-day life. We'll see. I'm still going to check out the film. However, I'm still gonna check out the film. So that's it for the Smithsonian Institute article. We're gonna go to the last article here, men's health, right? This one is probably gonna be a little interesting. This one is on the topic of men's sex addictions, right? Oh boy, Sombra is getting deep here. I see the theme of this Peruse News episode today. This is important stuff, guys, trust me. Title of the article, I don't know who's written by, As Told to Gina Loveless. Let's check it out. Title is, I Can't Stop and I'm Not Sure If I Want to. And look at the next sentence. Guys, listen to the next sentence. Next sentence. There's nothing inherently wrong with masturbation or porn. But for some men, sexual addiction may be more destructive to their personal lives than any substance. Guys, without even reading the rest of the article, we already know that it's gonna be a piece of entertaining work, right? I like to be entertained, I like to laugh. I think laughing is great, liberating for a lot of the blockages of the soul or whichever. I think a lot of things are funny, and it just makes me happy when I'm joyful and laughing, right? So this is good. We're definitely gonna go through this so I can laugh some more. This is interesting. Guys, there is something completely wrong with masturbation and porn. Masturbation, that part, it leads to a lack, of course in males, it leads to an expulsion of the seminal fluid, which leads to an expulsion of life force, energy, makes the bones brittle, it increases gray matter in the brain, it destroys the connection between synapses, you have memory loss, hair falling out before it's time, weak knees, weak back, you name it, and it's a catalyst to other addictions that are also horrible for the self. We know this. The pornography aspect. Pornography, there are countless documentaries on YouTube that talk about how the adult film industry exploits a lot of the actresses in that. So the more that men are watching and viewing this horrible, basis, destructive, satanic content, the more there's going to be a need to exploit more and more actresses in the adult film industry. Both of these are bad. Who wrote this article? This is silly. This is silly. Let's read what these guys have to say. 35% of men are being treated for mental illness, but that number may be low because too many men don't seek help. This is exactly why it's important to spotlight men who are getting guys to open up about mental health in provocative, engaging, and sometimes hilarious ways. This is Jeremy Lipkovitz, right? Lipkovitz, who uses meditation to help men break free of their sex and porn addiction. So I guess we're gonna learn about Jeremy's past and his dealings with pornography, right? You know how you don't really notice yourself gaining weight because you look at yourself in the mirror every day? I had no idea that over the years I was developing an addiction to sex and porn. It started when I was 9 years old, fantasizing about comic book characters like Psylocke. We all know who Psylocke is, that X-Men, the woman, right? That I think she was played by Olivia Munn, right? In the one with, where in the Days of Apocalypse or whatever, where Oscar Isaac was playing Apocalypse. Attractive woman, but at the end of the day, it's an illustration. Why are men being turned on and aroused by illustrations? Next, I flipped straight to the lingerie section of a Macy's catalog. By the time I got to college, porn was just like the internet had become, high speed and hardcore. I wanted to say this too, guys. The problem with pornography now, once upon a time, I guess the men of old were able to consume it in somewhat healthy ways. I'm a proponent of there being no healthy way or no healthy amount or no moderate amount that one could consume pornography in. But, you know, back then, relative to how it is now, people saw their pornography consumption as something a little bit more moderate. Now, the problem is that we got 4K super immersive technology mediums of adult film content, in addition to the internet speed providing this content being light speed. We got like fiber optic cables now. Internet is incredibly fast. These 50, I don't know however long these videos are being loaded within seconds. And men are being flooded with a whole amalgam of these very, very hyper, super stimulating images and videos. And their brains are not understanding how to comprehend this information, which leads to a lot of other things. I was saying that this is an issue. From my freshman years, freshman through senior years, I was watching pornography every day for 2 to 3 hours at a shot. That's a lot of time. I became a zombie, a mindless slave held captive by insatiable lust and craving, which is that feedback loop that produces these results, these symptoms in men, the more you consume it. I was once captive by my pornography addiction. I was, once upon a time. Of course, I understood the benefits of semen retention. I read a lot about Isaac Newton, Nikola Tesla, LeonardoDaVinci included. These individuals, these paragons of intellectualism and just creative energy. I found out about their lives and decided to make a change for the better, which is why I do not turn to adult content whatsoever. My breaking point, let's talk, this is Jeremy's breaking point. Let's listen to this. His breaking point was on a sidewalk outside of Pete's Coffee in Davis, California. I've never been to California, I don't even know Davis. It was the summer after my senior year of college and these 2 freshman age girls were walking ahead of me. This screaming animal urge inside of me said, want, must, have, look, touch. In that moment, I was reduced to a miserable pile of steaming shite, for lack of a more polite word. The same thought process must go on in the mind of Leonardo DiCaprio, right? Every time he sees any girl that resembles some sort of teenager. We understand that sexual addiction is a real thing and is a prevalent thing among males. The problem is that a lot of guys are not talking about this thing. They're not expressing it because they are afraid of how they would be perceived by individuals, how they would be criticized, how they would be humiliated, chastised. But it starts somewhere, because if you do not express these points of these emotions, these mindsets in an early point, then these sexual behaviors will just morph and evolve, because you're only keeping it in the mind, and the mind tends to morph ideas when they are not written down and made concrete. Express your issues, young men in general. Jeremy Lifkovitz, Mr. Lifkovitz, has given us a list of things on how to spot someone that is a sex addict or someone with an average male sex drive. Let's check it out. First one, no longer wants to sleep with partner. So it's crazy, because I know like 3 guys that I used to work with at this steakhouse that I used to work at, that I talked about, we had a conversation about, their girlfriends and what, they're gonna do on Friday night, the perpetual weekend that always shows up and we have to always party, woohoo. And they said that it was just a general thing, that they said that they don't really sleep with their girlfriends, they don't sleep with their significant others, because they watch porn a lot. And it was just a thing that they just said casually. They don't feel shame about it at all. And I'm just like, what? How is this normal, 1? And 2, why are we wasting their time? When you're in a relationship with someone, they want to feel love. They want to have a reciprocation of emotion between the 2 parties. Why is it that you're wasting their time? Because you found some sort of X-Men Mystique-like character that changes their appearance based on the desire of the viewer. It's nuts. It's completely crazy. Then number 2, large amounts of time spent on sex activities. Yeah, like Jeremy said earlier, if you're spending 2 to 3 hours viewing adult film content, yeah, you got something wrong there. You got to now start reevaluating what you're doing with your life, because that's actually kind of insane. I'm gonna be completely honest. Neglects responsibilities. You have to do errands, you have to clean the house, or you have some Microsoft Excel sheet that you have to send in to your team at work so you can have the presentation done on Monday, based on the information from the spreadsheet. If you're not doing these things because you are spending 2 to 3 hours a day viewing adult film content, yeah, you might be an addict, and you might have to seek help, for some advice on how to get rid of that part of you. Loved ones have been hurt. Yes. If you have a significant other, you have a girlfriend, right? We're talking to males now here. We're talking to males, because it's usually males that have this sex addiction, right? If you have a significant other and you are not sleeping with them, you're not showing them emotion because some mystique-like figure that's 4K, completely immersive, that can change itself based on what you like, your preferences, your physical preferences in a woman, then obviously they're gonna feel like they're gonna feel hurt. They're gonna feel like directly attacked because you're not giving them any attention, because this other thing has taken up your time and energy. It's like that episode of Black Mirror, the last good episode of Black Mirror is the episode with Yahya Abdul-Mateen, right, the second or the third, I forget his name, and Anthony Mackie, when it was a Striking Vipers episode, when Anthony Mackie was on, he was going on this game consistently, because Black Mirror, you know, they talk about like tech in the future or whatnot. So they would put on like this tech on their heads and play like this fighting game, but this fighting game, you could also have the characters sleep with each other, and the players that are using the characters could actually feel the emotions, all the sensations that the character is feeling without any of the what do you call it, the negatives, supposed negatives, right? So during the episode, Anthony Mackie and his wife has this chasm driven between them because Anthony is getting all the sexual pleasure from the game, right, and from his friend, and then sexuality was questioned. Very, very interesting episode. If you guys never saw that, please check it out. Black Mirror, Striking Vipers. Super, super interesting episode that definitely highlights and succinctly describes what is going on with sexual addicts in this modern contemporary age. Spends way too much money on sex stuff. I don't know, it's just, that's crazy. If you cross that boundary of admiring this mystique-like figure, right? 4K provided to you through high-speed internet. If you've crossed over that boundary and you're in real life buying like these things to further your pleasure, it's time to do some introspective appraisal on your life and your activities. Sexual danger is escalating. We already know if you don't talk about these things, you are going to have those wants and desires morphing, right? And then you'll get into that world of escorts, which I can say is incredibly unsafe and dangerous, and I'm sure many, many people could say that. Now, of course, there's a lot of sexual exploitation there. That's for another video. And we'll do anything to engage with sex. If you're at that point, listen, like you need to start seeking help, because you're now sacrificing your well-being and your safety in order to engage, just to get that next your rocks off. Very, very powerful article. Succinctly put, I would like to say that if you are a young male, if you are a young man that's on the precipice or within the middle of these having sexual problems or addictions, you need to go and seek guidance. You need to broadcast your issues. Stop going on Reddit and YouTube, watching these videos, reading the comments, and either laughing to yourself or sort of scowling at the comments and thinking that you are exempt from these issues, even though you are slowly building up a lot of these issues and these problems. Talk to people, go online, type your stories in the comments, and people will respond. The internet is, I believe, even though it could be a little toxic at times, the internet can be very, very helpful at times. Express your issues, young men. And with that being said, that's all I gotta say for you guys, with you guys today. This is all I have to talk about today. If you like that content, like, comment, subscribe. You freaks need to be giving me constructive criticism, because you guys are not really talking about this new segment that I've added to the channel, Perusing the News. Tell me if there are things that I could add that can make it a bit more interactive. Tell me if there are things that I could say that will make it a bit more relevant. Let me know, please. I have no plans on stopping this, because it's actually very, very fun analyzing the news and giving my opinions on the various articles. So you guys gotta help me with it. So don't let this place get you down. We are mired, right? We are submerged in sexual addiction and a lot of issues with actors such as Leonardo DiCaprio, the little girl hunter, right? We are surrounded by all of these influences, tricking and dissuading young men from having a moral compass and sort of having a logical preference with women. And we need to surmount these things. We need to look within ourselves and surmount these issues and seek help to surmount these problems that are surrounding us in our day-to-day. And stay radiant. I'll see you guys in the next one.